The U.S. continues to push for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, yet both sides remain at odds over the conditions to end the fighting. Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke with Israel defense officials Sunday, commending Israel for considering a U.S. advance framework and said the pressure is now on Hamas to accept the deal. President Biden announced Friday Israel had endorsed the initial proposal and urged both sides to reach a final ceasefire agreement.
All this progress would make Israel more secure, with Israeli families no longer living in the shadow of a terrorist attack. And all this would create the conditions for a different future, a better future for the Palestinian people.
Reports surfaced over the weekend that Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was under pressure by his coalition government to reject the ceasefire proposals over concerns it would not allow Israel to continue its campaign against Hamas. Far-right members of Netanyahu's government have reportedly threatened to break up the government if Israel accepts the deal, forcing Netanyahu to face new elections. Netanyahu has denied those reports and said one of his chief goals has always been the elimination of Hamas. Many Israelis are urging Netanyahu to accept the proposed deal and stage protests Saturday. The first phase would begin with a withdrawal of Israeli forces from populated areas of Gaza, as women, children, and wounded Israeli hostages are released. In exchange, hundreds of Palestinian prisoners would also be freed, and more aid would be allowed to flow into Gaza. The second phase would be negotiated by Israel and Hamas for the permanent end to fighting and the release of the remaining Israeli hostages. In exchange, Israel would withdraw all remaining troops from Gaza. A Netanyahu aide said, though Israel has accepted a framework deal, it was still flawed and details still needed to be worked out, including the final release of hostages and maintaining Israel's plan to take down Hamas. President Biden argued Israel has dismantled Hamas to the point it could not mount an attack like October 7th again, but noted he's aware of strong resistance to fully withdrawing troops from Gaza by Israeli leadership. The ceasefire negotiations come as research reveals Israeli Jews who believe a Palestinian state and Israel can peacefully coexist has dropped dramatically, down to just 19%, a drop from 32% from a survey released weeks before the war. For more on the ceasefire negotiations and the latest on the war in Gaza, be sure to download the Straight Arrow News app, or you can visit us at san.com.